Hey, it's Dr. Hannah with this week's Hot Topic. Today, I want to just give you 10 myths that people have about the cold. So it's kind of one of those things that if you're somewhere and you want to stump somebody or give them trivia, these would be good trivia points. So, first thing I have is, do you lose most of your heat from your head? Answer, if you watched my video last week, I already answered this one, but no, you don't. You actually lose most heat from things that are exposed to the cold. So you only lose about 10% of your body heat from your head, whereas your fingers and toes can be 9%. So really it's just anything that's exposed to the cold is where you're going to lose your heat from. So, but it is still important to wear a hat and just cover it up. Second one, what should you do if your fingers and your toes are cold? So most people, they think you rub your hands together, but you actually should wiggle your fingers. It's putting motion into them. It's getting circulation, blood flow. When your fingers are cold, you should be a little concerned if you have numbness. Numbness is a sign that the tissue is already very cold and it could freeze. It could die if it gets bad enough. So if you're outside in the cold, just make sure you have like spirit fingers, move those around. The third thing is a cup of coffee or alcohol a really good way to warm up? The answer is actually no. Caffeine and alcohol can actually speed up heat loss. So if you're out in colder weather at a football game or doing yard work or something like that, it's better to have warm water, hot chocolate, something that doesn't have caffeine in it. So you could have caffeine-free tea, or just some other beverage that's not alcohol or has caffeine in it, because that can make you seem like you're warmer depending on what you're drinking, but it's actually going to speed up your heat loss. Fourth, if you go out into the cold, will you catch a cold? Colds are caused by viruses, not necessarily from cold temperatures. So you usually, when you're in the cold, it decreases your immune system. So that's why you're more likely to get a cold. But being cold outside, it's not going to cause a cold. It's just from a virus. This one, hopefully you never have this happen to you, but if you fall through ice into water, what do you do? So you kind of want to pay attention to the 1-10-1 rule. So you have 1 minute to kind of catch your breath, figure out where you are so you don't hyperventilate. You have 10 minutes to start moving, to move around, just to get all that before your circulation starts to become a problem. And then you have 1 minute to get out and figure out what you're doing. Otherwise, you can go into hypothermia, and you go into a coma, all that, not good. So just think of one minute to catch your breath, 10 minutes to move around, try and get out. Then after that 10 minutes, you have 1 minute before you're going to go unconscious and would not be a good situation. So if you fall through ice, hopefully this doesn't happen to you. That is what you should do. Number 6 is if you're more dehydrated in the cold water or in the cold temperature, is it okay? The answer is no. You are actually more susceptible to injury or danger if you're dehydrated in the cold, because when you're dehydrated, that is going to stop your body from producing more heat. So dehydration in the cold is way more dangerous than it is in warmer temperatures. So if you're stranded and you're super thirsty, should you drink snow? Never eat yellow snow, but the other thing is you shouldn't eat snow because that is going to decrease your internal temperatures. It can cause organ damage. So what you should do is, if you have something that you can put inside by your coat or something that you can melt the snow, that way it warms up the water a little bit, or the snow a little bit, so it becomes water. That is safer to drink rather than just eating snow, because that can do some organ damage. It's really bad for you. So don't eat snow, especially not yellow snow. The other thing that a lot of people notice is that if I'm cold, it feels like you should be cold, but that's not always the case. So it just is a perception thing. Women are typically feel colder sooner than they do with men. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Just because you're cold doesn't mean someone else is cold. So you want to bundle up with hoodies or blankets or something, because it's more of a perception thing. Is shivering good for you, and why do we shiver? Shivering is a thing that your body does without you thinking about it, and that's how you produce a little bit more heat. So when you're shivering, it can be a good thing. Also, if you have an infection, you're shivering because your body is trying to turn up that internal temperature to kill whatever virus you have inside of you. So shivering is a normal and a natural response to the body when it's cold. So when it becomes a problem is if you just can't stop the shiver. That's when it can cause a little bit more a little bit more issue, and you just shouldn't ignore it if you can't stop shivering and there's no reason why you're shivering. And then the last thing, which we all kind of experienced last year, especially if you live in the Midwest, does cold always feel the same? And the answer is no. When it's cold, but when it's that bitter cold, sometimes it can just, it feels a lot colder. So those are the 10 myths that a lot of people have about cold temperature or cold weather, that hopefully if you're at Thanksgiving or Christmas, you want to stump somebody or like, oh, hey, I learned this. Go for it. Swipe and deploy. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. We'll see you guys next time.